All right, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Let's go and get started with our do now. If you could have an unlimited supply of one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? You cannot choose money. So you have to do something besides money. Go ahead and write your answer in the chat. And then the second question that I'll ask you out loud is how many solutions should you have in a 3x3 system of equations? How many solutions should you have in a 3x3 system of equations? All right, 3 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and get your answers in. I don't know if financial stability counts, Noah. That seems very close to money.
But I didn't say it.
Didn't say it. Technicality. Food. I get that, Bo Ray. One and a half more minutes. TVs. Nick, you can't choose money. You have to choose something different. Food as well. Ice cream, that's a good one. Crocs. Shoes, okay. Clothes. Cars. That'd be nice. Sleep. 30 more seconds. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So how many solutions should you have in a 3x3 system of equations? How many solutions should you have in a 3x3 system of equations? What do you have for me? Let's see who we got. What do you have for me, Jaden?
Isn't that would be like a y equals type? That like the solution?
Yeah, solutions like x equals y equals yada, yada, yada. How many solutions should you have for a 3x3 system?
3.
3, yep. You should have an x, y, and a z. Sometimes the variables will change, but 3x3 means 3 equations, 3 solutions. Good job. All right, let's go ahead and do good things. Today's good things are going to come from, let's see, where did we leave off yesterday? Pilly, Anam, and Bo. Pilly, what's your good thing? Actually, I asked Anam yesterday, right? Yes. Sorry, Pilly, Anam, and Christian Woodson. All right, Pilly, what's your good thing? Pilly, where are you? Okay, we'll come back to Pilly. Bo, what's your good thing?
I slept.
Great. That's great. Sleep is always great. Thanks for sharing. Christian, what's your good thing?
My birthday's coming up
Your birthday's coming up. When's your birthday?
August 25th,
Woohoo! How old are you turning?
15.
Exciting. Are you going to do anything special?
I mean, just take the driver's ed class.
Okay. Awesome. Great. That's exciting. Thanks for sharing. Pilly, are you ready? Are you here? Oh no. Okay. Well, we'll come back, I hope, to Pilly. But in the meantime, what was my good thing? Oh, yesterday we got some Girl Scout cookies donated to the school, which was such an unexpected surprise. So I got myself a box of tagalongs. It was a party. It was a great day. Can't complain. Can't complain. All right, let's go and get started with the announcements for today. So these are repeats. If you're working on 1.3, part 3 in Big Ideas Math, make sure that you take note of these rounding instructions. Otherwise, you're going to get the wrong answer. So 17A, round to the nearest hundredth. 17B, round to the nearest $100. 18, round to the nearest hundredth, or 10th, excuse me. There's also one problem where it has the points and it's like 0, 11,386, and a lot of students were getting confused by the commas. But if you know what problem I'm talking about, know that that second number is the Y value and it has a comma because you're talking about the thousands. But that was just a heads up. And then the graphing calculator rentals, those are available until today at 6 p.m. You can get them at door 2 at North Central. You need to fill out the online form before you come and get it. And the online form is available on my Canvas. It's $20 per semester. And the last day to do that is today. After that, you're on your own for getting a graphing calculator. Are there any questions about either of those? Are there any questions about homework that I can answer right now?
When are you gonna answer number 6 or the one we're supposed to do for that worksheet?
Great, that's a great question. Let's do it right now. Number 6 is great. Was this the class where you asked about whether number 5 was a fraction? Remind me, did someone ask that question in this class? Well, either way, number 5 is not a fraction. So if you got a fraction answer for number 5, that's not correct. So you might want to recheck your work. And then 6. Ida, were you the one who asked about 6 yesterday?
No, it was someone else, but you said you was gonna do it because I guess we didn't have that much time or something.
Yeah, it happens like that. And also, if you know me, I do forget sometimes. So thank you for reminding me. Number 6. All right, let me just pull it up. So this was just choosing which method to solve, substitution or elimination. You don't actually need to solve it. And so for this one, I would use elimination because the x's and, oh, was this also, no, that's the wrong document. Oh, yeah, okay. Where'd it go? Sorry guys, we're having technical difficulties today. Let me go to Canvas, that's probably easier. Thank you all for your patience this morning. I appreciate it. All right, let's go to the assignment. Finally, we're here. All right, let's get to it. Okay. Number 6, choose the best. No, that's a different one. Okay, solve by elimination. So we've got x plus 2y equals 7, and then negative 3x plus 2y equals 3. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so we've got x plus 2y equals 7 and negative 3x plus 2y equals 3. It doesn't matter, so you're going to choose the x or the y to eliminate. I would probably eliminate the y's because you already have the same coefficients. You have a 2 and a 2, but sign, so you just have to change one of the signs. So I'm going to multiply the bottom one by negative 1. So this is going to be x plus 2y equals 7, but the bottom one, negative 1 times negative 3x is positive 3x. Negative 1 times positive 2y is negative 2y, and negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Then you're going to add those together. So x plus 3x is 4x. The 2y's will cancel out, and then 7 minus 3 is 4. Next, you're going to divide both sides by 4, so x is equal to 1, and that's one of your solutions. Once you figure that out, you're going to plug it into either of these equations. I'm going to plug the 1 in for the first equation, so it's 1 plus 2y equals 7. Subtract 1 from both sides, so we'll get 2y is equal to 6. And then divide both sides by 2, so y is equal to 3. Does anyone have any questions about that homework problem? Did that answer your question? I forgot to ask that question, but.
So when we're solving for elimination, do we always have to multiply by 1?
No, you only multiply by negative 1 if you're trying to change the sign. So you always want one positive and one negative, but since I had 2 positives, I multiplied that bottom one by negative 1 to get rid of it. Or not to get rid of it, to change the sign.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. Any other questions about homework before we get started with the notes for today? All right, so I said that we were going to start our graphing calculator stuff today. We might still have time. We'll see. There's a very high likelihood that we won't have time to do the graphing calculator, which is fine. If that's the case, we'll just push it back to tomorrow. And that will give you some more time to work on solving 3x3 systems with substitution. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit and do a quick review. We left off on example 3 yesterday. And we did half of it. So for example 3, we're supposed to solve by substitution. So we chose one of these equations to isolate for x. We chose to isolate x because that was the only variable that we had that didn't have a coefficient. So we did x equals 9 minus 5y, and we plugged it in for the first equation. So it became 2 times 9 minus 5y plus 3y minus 2z. And then we solved it out and we got our first equation, which was negative 7y minus 2z equals negative 19. Are there any questions about that recap before we continue with the newer stuff? Okay, so once we got that, we had to plug it into the third equation as well. So we had to plug in this x into the third equation. So it was 4z minus 5 times 9 minus 5y is equal to 4. And I think we already did this part, but we'll just go over it again. Distribute the negative 5. So we've got negative 5 times 9 is negative 45. Negative 5 times negative 5y is positive 25y is equal to 4. And then we added 45 to both sides. So we get 4z plus 25y is equal to 49. And then you just want to switch the x or the y and the z so that it matches the one at the bottom. So 25y plus 4z is equal to 49. Any questions so far? All right, from here, you've got your two equations now, and they only have two variables. You only have a y and a z, which is what you want. So you're going to line them up. So you've got negative 7y minus 2z equals negative 19. And then you've got 25y plus 4z is equal to 49. And you have to solve. So you have to solve these two equations. Are there any questions about how we got those two equations before I move on? All right, I'm going to go ahead and call on someone for this next question. Which method should I use to solve this system of equations? Which method should I use to solve this system? Should I use elimination or should I use substitution? Elimination or substitution? What do you think, Elise?
Elimination.
I would agree with you. Why do you say elimination?
I don't know.
Do you see how the variables are all lined up and the numbers are lined up?
Yeah.
That's when you would use elimination.
Okay.
Great. So, all right, now we have to decide if it makes more sense to eliminate the y's or it makes more sense to eliminate the z's. So we have to decide if it makes more sense to eliminate the y's or the z's. Which one should I eliminate? What do you think, Christian?
Eliminate the 4 and the 2.
Yeah. And why do you say that one?
Because they're the closest variables that will mean the less multiplying.
Yeah, so it's going to be less multiplying, exactly. So what can I multiply that first equation by so that it matches the 4z? What can I multiply that first equation by so that it matches the 4z? What do you think, Clervins?
Can you repeat what you said?
Yeah, what can I multiply this top equation by so that that negative 2z changes to a 4?
Two.
So we're going to multiply the top equation by 2. So if we multiply that out, we're going to get negative 14y minus 4z is equal to negative 38. And then we're just going to copy the bottom. So 25y plus 4z equals 49. And then you're going to add everything together. So negative 14y plus 25y, that gives you 11y. The z's will cancel out. And negative 39 plus 49 is 11. Then you're going to divide both sides by 11. So y is equal to 11 over 11, which is 1. So that's your first solution, y equals 1. Y equals 1. Are there any questions about y equals, or how we got y equals 1? All right, my next question that I'm going to ask everyone, now that I know that what my y is, how can I find the other variables? Now that I know what my y is, how can I find the other variables? What do you think, Natalie?
You plug y into one of the equations.
Great, so what do you want to plug y into?
I think x equals 9 minus 5y.
Yeah, that'll work. So you want to just plug the y into any equation that just has two variables. The only equation I would say to not plug into is this first one, 2x plus 3y minus 2z equals -1, because that has 3 variables. So as long as you find an equation with 2 variables, you can go for it. So we've got x equals 9 minus 5y, but instead of y, I'm going to plug in a 1. So we've got x equals 9 minus 5, or x equals 4. X equals 4. So now we've got our y, and now we've got our x. Are there any questions about how we got the x? But like I said, you didn't have to plug it into that equation. You could plug it into this guy right here. You could plug it into 4z minus 5x equals 4, as long as it is an equation with 2 variables. All right, the last variable we need to solve for is z. How can I find z? How can I find z? What do you think, Gavin?
Just plug in x and y.
Yeah, which equation should I plug it into?
I have no clue.
You have a couple options. The only one that has x and y in it is the first equation. So I would plug it into 2x plus 3y minus 2z equals -1. If you're trying to find a z, another option is just plug everything into an equation where you see a z. That's another option. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it into 2x plus 3y minus 2z equals -1. So x is 4, y is 1, and we don't know what z is. So that stays as a variable. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 times 1 is 3, minus 2z equals -1. 8 plus 3 is 11, minus 2z equals -1. Subtract 11 from both sides, so you'll get -2z is equal to -12. And then divide both sides by -2. So z is equal to -12 divided by -2, which is +6. I went a little quickly through that. So does anyone need me to go through that a little bit slower? Have any questions about how we got z is equal to 6? All right, cool. Last step, make sure to write your answer as an ordered pair. So start with your x, which is 4, y, which is 1, and then z, which is 6. Any questions? All right, does anyone need more time to copy this down before I flip the page? Okay, on the back is the you try problem. So it's a substitution problem, just like we did with example 3. If you did not print out your notes, take a moment to copy this problem down. Oop. Sorry, my God, let's get that centered again, sorry. Okay, so take a moment to copy that down, and while you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and split you up into breakout rooms. So you're gonna be in groups of 3 to 4, and you're gonna try to solve this problem. So you should get 3 solutions, an x, a y, and a z. While you're in your breakout rooms, the expectation is that you're unmuted and that your video is on, unless you've told me separately that your video is not working for whatever reason. But that is what I expect, because I will be visiting your breakout rooms to answer questions and see how you're doing. So make sure that your video is on and that you're communicating with your partners. I'm going to give everyone 10 minutes to start with, and then we'll see if we need extra time. But you're going to try and solve for the x, the y, and the z. Are there any questions before you are broken up? All right. Remember to get the problem down, because you won't be able to see it if once I put you in your breakout rooms. Okay. Off you go.
Can
Clarvin.
you send it again? I was trying to copy the problem down.
Oh, gotcha. Clarvins, make sure to go to your breakout room.
I still didn't get the breakout room thing.
You didn't get to what?
I didn't get the breakout room thing because I was still copying the problem down.
Oh, okay. We're still copying it down. Got it. It should, let's see. All right, there we go.
I need some help.
All right, what do we need help with?
Okay, so you know how for substitution you have to try and like choose an equation with two variables and solve for one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose 2x minus y equals -4.
I'm going to stop you right there, Ida, because there's actually an easier one you could choose, because do you see how z equals -3y minus 3 is already solved for?
Mm-hmm.
So I would go with that one.
Okay.
I mean, you could do the 2x minus y equals -4. It's just more work.
Okay.
And so then you're going to take that z equals -3y minus 3, and you're going to plug in -3y minus 3 for z in the first equation. And you want to get all your, say that
Are you
again?
talking about plug that in for y equals x plus z plus 5.
Except instead of z, you're going to plug in negative 3y minus 3. Yeah.
Okay.
How is everyone else doing? Tyler, Nick, Gavin, make sure y'all are unmuted. Did y'all get your answers?
I mean, I'm doing good, but I'm still a little confused on this whole thing.
All right.
Like, I get it. I just need time to I don't know how to explain it.
That's okay. And also make sure that you ask each other questions, because I won't be able to come to each breakout room and spend forever. So make sure you ask yourselves the questions too, because maybe Gavin knows the answer, maybe Nick knows the answer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll come back in and check in on you all. Make sure to raise your hand if you need help. How are we doing over here? Any questions?
No, we're still working on the problem.
I'm still working on it? Okay. You guys gonna be ready in about 7 minutes to share? How are we doing? Any questions?
Yes. What do we do past? Because we used z equals minus 3y minus 3
Mm-hmm.
to substitute in to the first equation, first one.
Okay.
Now we're stuck.
Okay, so once you get it substituted in, remember your goal is to get all of the variables on one side of the equation and all of the numbers on the other side. So you've got x minus 3y minus 3 plus 5, right? When you plugged it in? Yeah, we're good so far?
Yeah.
All right, so combine your like terms. So you can combine the negative 3 plus 5. It's going to give you plus 2. And then you want to move all the variables over to the left. So when you move the x, you're going to subtract x from both sides. So you'll get negative x plus y equal to negative 3y plus 2. And then you want to move the y over. So you're going to add 3y to both sides. You'll get negative x plus 4y equals positive 2. So that's your first equation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you guys go from there, or do you need more help?
I think we can work it out from here.
Cool. How's everyone doing? Do we have any questions?
No.
No? Do you have your answer already?
Yeah.
What did you guys get?
I got x equals 5, y equals 14, and z equals 4.
Not quite. Not quite. Did you all talk about the answers? Did you all get the same answer? Make sure that you all unmute yourself.
I did get x equal 5.
You
I
did
got that.
You got x equals 5 too?
Yeah.
Can I see one of your work so that I could see maybe where you went wrong?
I don't know if you can really see it.
It, okay, I see what you guys did. I would suggest you don't want to solve for x, because remember the first step is you want to choose an equation with just 2 variables, right? Whereas that equation has 3 variables, so it's not super helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. What I would suggest is you find an equation with 2 variables, the second or the third. And then out of those 2, it's probably easier to use the second one because it's already solved for z. It's already solved for z. So you're going to take that and you're going to plug it in over here. So you got y is equal to x, but instead of z, I'm plugging in negative 3y minus 3 plus 5. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
And then you can
Yeah.
find the negative 3 plus 5, so that gives you 2. And remember, your goal is to get all of the variables on one side of the equation and all of the numbers on the other side. So you want to move the x over. So positive x changes to negative x. And then you also want to move the 3y over. So negative 3y changes to positive 3y. And then you're left with the 2. So that's one of the equations, right? Negative x plus 4y equals 2. And then you're going to try to plug in the z for the third equation, but you'll notice that there is no z in there. So your job is done for you. You have your two equations. You've got the negative x plus 4y equals 2, and the 2x minus y equals negative 4. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
And then out of these two, to solve those two equations, what method makes the most sense? Substitution or elimination?
Substitution.
Well, are any of your variables isolated in these two equations?
When you do elimination because the x's are lined up and the y's are lined up?
Yeah, I would agree with you, Christian. You want to use elimination, so you're going to think about what you can multiply, or think about what variable you want to eliminate first. So what do y'all want to eliminate first?
The x's.
Sure. So then what do you need to multiply that top equation by so that the coefficients match up?
2.
Y'all go from there?
Yeah.
I'm going to go and check on some other groups, but if you have questions, just call me back. All right, how are we doing? Any questions? Do we have a final answer?
I almost do. I'm in the process of it.
What do you have so far, Lexi?
I don't know. I feel like I did it wrong.
What part are you on right now? Did you get an x value or a y value or a z value yet?
I have all three, but the way I was doing it, it just seems roundabout.
Well, what do you have?
I have x is -2, y is 0, and z is -3.
That's perfect. That's correct.
That's right?
Yeah, good job.
Cool.
Anyone else have any questions? Okay.
Yeah, we have questions.
You have questions. Okay, what's up? Sorry, Henry, I can't hear you.
How do we start it?
How do we start it? Okay, so you want to choose an equation that has two variables in it and then isolate one of the variables. So you only have two options for equations that have two variables, right? The second and the third.
You got black, like, not you. I couldn't hear you for a second. What you said?
Okay, so you got to look through your equations and you got to choose one that has only two variables in it. So which equations do y'all want to choose?
The middle one.
Yeah, the middle one would make most sense because do you see how the z is already isolated? It's already by itself.
Mm-hmm.
So what we need to do is we need to take that, whatever that z equals, so in this case it's -3y minus 3, and we need to plug it in for the first equation in for
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to get x minus 3y minus 3 plus 5, right?
Yeah.
And then combine your like terms, so -3 plus 5 is +2. And then your goal is to get all of the x's and y's on the left side and then all of the numbers on the right side. So I need to move the x over, so I subtracted x from both sides. and then I moved the negative 3y over by adding 3y to both sides. So your final equation is negative x plus 4y equals 2. Any questions so far? Okay. Then you have to take that z and plug it into the third equation. But do you notice how there is no z in the third equation? That makes your life easier because now those are your two equations. So you have the negative x plus 4y equals 2, and then the 2x minus y equals negative 4. So you eliminated the z, and now you're going to look at these two equations. Which method makes most sense to solve those, elimination or substitution?
So a substitution, because the y there's a y is by itself.
You could
and x is.
substitution and x is by itself. I would say elimination might be easier for this one because it's already lined up so the x's are on top of each other and the y's are on top of each other and the numbers are on top of each other. That's what I personally choose, but you are welcome to do substitution. You should get the same answer. It just takes more effort because you got to move the 2x and then divide by negative 1 if you're trying to solve for y, or you'd have to move the 4y and divide by negative 1 if you're trying to solve for x. So I think it's a little bit more effort. But if you are trying to do not substitution, if you're trying to do elimination, which variable makes more sense to eliminate, x or y?
X. No, y.
It actually doesn't matter. They're both pretty easy. So why don't y'all decide which one you want to eliminate?
Let's do y because it has a higher number.
Okay, so we'll go with y. So what do I need to multiply this bottom equation by to get it to be a 4? What'd you say, Anna?
4.
Mm-hmm. So multiply that bottom equation by 4, and then can you take it from there? Okay. All right, we'll meet back in a minute. So hopefully you can at least get the x value by then. All right, we're just waiting for some people to join back, so we'll give them a minute. All right, I will take a volunteer. So if you want to share your group's answer, just go ahead and unmute yourself and share your group's answer.
My group got -2, 0, -3.
Perfect. You should have gotten -2 for x, 0 for y, and -3 for z. X is equal to -2, y is equal to 0, and z is equal to -3. I will take questions on that tomorrow just because we are ending soon and I want to make sure that I give you all time to get to your next class, or I can, if you want to stick around for a little bit to ask the question about how we got that final answer, you could do that. Real quick, I pushed back the deadlines for 1.4 assignments. So 1.4 part 1 is now due on Thursday because we didn't get a chance to do the calculator stuff today. And then you will see 1.4 part 2. That's the calculator assignment. I haven't taught the calculator yet, so don't start part 2 until tomorrow, and that will be due Friday. All right, if you have no questions, you're free to go. See you tomorrow. I'll stick around for a few minutes if anyone does have any questions.
Bye.
Yeah.